3 days. But fortunately, I'm standing here with one of the main ambassadors for the summit, who is in the person of Derek Laye, to give us insight on what are some of the key expectations for today's summit. Good afternoon. It's good to see you.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. You are a key ambassador for this summit. Now, before we move into what to expect, tell us what went into organizing such a humongous event such as this.
You're right, it's truly a humongous event because of the nature of collaboration from the kind of stakeholders that we're seeing. I think it's one of the biggest conferences in Ghana right now because over 4,000 plus registered participants from 78 countries. It's a big deal. And you're seeing chief executives, you're seeing heads of agencies. The president is just about to enter the venue in the next few minutes. And we're looking forward to a very exciting 3-day technology and digital economy summit. Yeah.
Initially, people were like, it could be difficult to bring these people together. And first of all, there's always a common goal that brings people to a center focus. What is the key drive this time around?
Well, I think that when it comes to the conversation of financial technology, it comes to the conversation of digital economy, these are emerging topics that cuts across different economies, different markets. And so when you want to bring people together to discuss what you're doing, how you're doing what, and where you want to take these conversations to, it's the kind of conversations that people are going to gravitate towards. And we're not surprised to see the level of participation, the level of interest from major institutions. And Central Bank, Bank of Ghana, doing this with Elevandi Development Bank Ghana as well, and then also partners like the Monetary Authority of Singapore. So it's all the major partners that you're seeing on the bill. It's exciting, and for me also this summit is very unique in its sense because it's not just a talk. We've already had a few conversations. We've done a policy meet dialogue. We've had a dialogue on technology transfer agreements and things like that. And what we're entering into is the president is just about to launch so we already started conversations before we are launching it. But beyond the talk is also a bit of the do. So in the next few days, there'll be conversations there's an innovation day. That's on day 3. We're going to be seeing companies that have been selected to come pitch their innovations. Right at this summit, people are going to test their solutions that they already have. And so it's not just a question of we intend to or we plan to, but it's also one of the things that gives businesses an opportunity to network. You have the opportunity to talk to. There's been a conversation on capital, where there are investors, angel investors, some of these venture capital institutions that have come together, talk about where most of the money is going and how we can be able to work together to also direct some of that money into Africa so that people can benefit. We have a lot of young people in Africa. If you look at the age bracket across continents, Africa's median age right now is about 18. When all the other continents are doing 31, 32, 33. So if you want to direct capital somewhere, if you're looking to target it towards Africa. And so we're looking to see how we can be able to push the summit to not just become a talk summit, but also to be able to see how we can, even for Ghana doing this, how we can prop our financial technology companies, how we can prop startups, and how we can be able to showcase the things that are happening here and what we can be able to do going into the future. Yeah.
A couple of years ago, we witnessed Alibaba coming to Ghana and having an event. One of the key prospects that people have been questioning is why has it become a challenge to have sustainable fintech companies in Ghana, or let's say technological companies? What is the key challenge in this instance?
Well, for me, I just like to rephrase your question. The thing is, we have big fintech companies. You've heard of Insano, you've heard of ExpressPay, you've heard of IT Consortium, you've heard of Haptel, you've heard of ZPay. These are companies that basically were built here. The vision was taught through here. The vision was taught through here. The concepts came out of this place, and we're seeing what they're doing because some of these companies today have branches. One of these companies has, I think, about 7 branches across Africa. Some have already moved into the Caribbeans, and some are in UK and co. So there are big fintech companies here already. There are over 40 licensed fintech entities. There are over licensed fintech companies, and I think really the question is how much can you also bring into the market versus how much is already can the market deal with. And as we're seeing today, we have, aside having some of the big ones, you also have some of the new ones that are coming up, but there's also room for everybody to play. So there are different license requirements, there are different license expectations, and it's for me, it's really like we've gotten to that place where I can't say we've taken off where we want. How we've not taken off so far, but we're just about putting things together to be able to shoot beyond what we think our worldview is, and I think it's a phenomenal thing. Yeah.
If you're still watching us, we are still at the 3i Africa Summit. If you are not here, make sure you walk through this place and come experience the technological revolution that is happening here in Ghana. That is for starting here in Ghana. Still on the conversation, the interesting aspect that woke everyone up was one, Africa, or let's say Ghana, had internet interruption. Everyone was like, my money isn't going through. I tried my Momo, my internet connectivity. The fear was, what has been the key challenge? What has been the key challenge? And why have we not built a resilient infrastructure to prepare against unforeseen circumstances like this?
So on that conversation about the subsea cable issue, so there's infrastructure. In fact, there's excess capacity. But I think from a technical standpoint, one of the challenge with the infrastructure is that it was all in one line. It's like like they are built in the same kind of like route. So if you cut the route, it means that then there's a challenge. Thankfully, I think there's lessons that have been learned. We've all felt the impact of the cuts, and it cuts across from financial, agric, banking, entertainment, everybody. Even for the people who do menial jobs, everybody needs the internet. Everybody wants. Today I'm working with plumbers, carpenters. Oh boss, fastening me momo. Everybody believes in it, and so the internet has become a key resource. No wonder it's even being termed today as something that comes as a constitutional right, fundamental right for humans. It's just like water and light. So I think the main thing for me is lessons have been learned. Thankfully, we've been able to see, we've been in redundancies. Thankfully, some of these companies are beginning to issue statements that they've repaired the cables as well, which is also a very positive thing, because it means being on redundancy means that we're not safe, again, if something should happen. But thankfully, even into the future, there are companies like 2Africa and Co., who are today not just building what the standard route looks like, but they are actually building across the whole of Africa. So that in future, even if there's a cut on one side, you can just go anti-clockwise or go clockwise, depending on how the cut. So I think there are lessons that have been learned. So maintenance is one of the key things that also needs to be propped up. And I believe that the regulators can work with the service providers to make this thing a habit. Or even if I know it's a habit, but to make us learn lessons from this experience and make sure that they are even the response time to deal with the problems in future are better managed. Yeah.
Now, finally, the president will be here. You've made mention that he's going to launch some policy directions for the fintech sector. What are some other things you will be expecting, possibly from his speech this afternoon?
Well, one of the things that the government has done, I think specifically for the financial technology sector, is that they've shown a lot of commitment. If you're looking at conversations relating to enabling a lot of fintechs grow within the space, although the market is still very challenging, so you can see some companies are leaving and the rest. But I think I'm looking forward to see what the president is. I don't want to preempt his speech, but we will be excited for us in the tech ecosystem and the tech community. We'll be excited if government has plans or has some new policy direction to be able to support the financial technology ecosystem and then the digital economy system. But thankfully, government itself also believes in digitalization. It's been one of their major trump cards that they've been throwing around every time they have an opportunity to engage with the public. So it means that they believe in it. But there are things that I always see. Let me digress a bit. The thing is, you can believe in something, and then you can act in ways that will cement your belief in something, or you can act in ways that does not cement and it's actually going in variance with what you believe in. So things like e-levy has not helped everybody. It's not helped anybody in this market. It's only helped government because of the taxes that it's collecting. But it hurts the growth of the space. It hurts the whole idea to be able to innovate. It hurts the whole idea for startups. Today, because of that, people do not want to make certain kind of payments because you're looking at how much you're going to pay. If I have to send you 500 cedis, I'm having to spend close to about 20 cedis to make that push that money, or close to 12 cedis to move that money. I'll look at it and ask myself, I'll do the opportunity or balance that opportunity cost and say, do I want to do this? So these are some of the things. And thankfully now they are saying they want to withdraw it. If the president announces that he's withdrawing it right now, I think it's a good thing. But I think that the beauty of everything is that government needs to take this sector seriously, because it is this sector that has actually even making the banking industry thrive today. It is this sector that is making almost every single sector today stay productive, stay relevant, and be able to still guarantee their revenues that they are making today. So it's a very important sector.
Is Ghana ready for AI? And also, amongst the conversations, which one should we be hearing in the next 3 days from panel or preliminary sections?
All right, Winston Taki there for us at the Accra International Conference Center, where the groundbreaking 3i Africa Summit is set to officially open. We'll be there live when the opening starts. Meanwhile, the Chief Commercial Officer and Vice President of E-Currency Mint, Lars Avison, is urging African central banks to accelerate the adoption of digital currencies to facilitate trade and investments across the continent. He believes this move will be critical in advancing the continent's fintech ecosystem whilst driving growth and innovation. He's been speaking with Winston Taki.
It goes back to, it's a complex question. It's not only one simple answer on it, right? It's the change behavior. Ensure that the digital form of currency is accessible. Then you talk about network connectivity, for example, from a telecommunication perspective, right? Because you need to reach out to the mass people, and in many cases live on the countryside, right? So it's the technology aspects of it, of course. It's change behavior. It's a cost factor as well, right? Because to have the intermediaries or the actors in the ecosystems, they need also to buy into the business rationale and business model to do this. And it's also a policy perspective. In some markets, they have probably the right policy in place, but in many markets, they need also to improve the policy to allow a digital kind of form for digital currency from a privacy perspective, from other kind of policy conditions as well, right?
Has funding been a key challenge? And if it hasn't been, why the slow rate of adoption?
It goes back to what I'm saying, right? Because it's to some extent this resistance from some of the players, let's say, who need to carry out the currency to the market. As I said, they need to see the business rationale, the business model in order to do their investments, because it's investments from all players in this, not only the central bank, it's also the banks, intermediaries and others who need this kind of investments. So that's one factor. And there is incentives in some markets to do it as well, right? So you need to see it from a short term, but you need also see it long term, because when we go into digitalization, and we can see it from other markets, the competitiveness will increase, but also the market will increase, and that fosters actually a good services over time, right?
All right, that was Lars Avison, Vice President of E-Currency Mint, speaking there with Winston Taki at the ongoing 3i Africa Summit. As I mentioned, we'll be there live when the official opening starts. Let's bring you some other news. Vice Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam has revealed that government will soon roll out some fresh revenue measures to help improve tax collection. This follows revelation that the government missed out on first quarter revenue targets by some 20%. Speaking to Joy Business after engaging some custom officials at the Aflao border as part of a working visit, the minister said the numbers should improve going forward based on these reforms.
Government is promising to provide the revenue mobilization institutions with the needed logistics and support in order to meet the revenue generation targets for the year. The government has projected 176.4 billion Ghana cedis revenue in 2024, about 22% higher than the 2023 target, but has missed out on first quarter revenue target by some 20%. Speaking to Joy Business after visiting the Aflao border as part of a working visit, the Finance Minister, Mohamed Amin Adam, said government plans to increase revenue by implementing some new reforms.
Last year, revenue increase, actually the growth of revenue was about 49%. I know that we can repeat it or even do better, but it is important we engage so that everybody comes on board. And I am very happy about what I've seen here. I'm very happy about the energy I've seen in the officials here. I'm very happy about the resilience that they are determined to exhibit towards pursuing revenue. Of course, there are a number of reforms that we will be implementing so that we can address issues of leakages, we can address the smuggling issues, but at the end of it all, we are seen to be working together as citizens, as people who have stake in the development of our country.
The finance minister added that these new reforms would address the budget deficit and aid in the completion of some projects in the country.
In the first quarter of the year, revenue was short by about 20%, and that is not good enough. It means that we will not be able to carry out the projects that we budgeted to do, and this affects our development efforts. And so we need, in the second quarter, to close the gap in the first quarter and to be able to meet the target for the second quarter. And so my visit to revenue collection centers is to interact with officials of GRA for us to fashion out the measures and the solutions towards addressing revenue shortfalls. And so revenue is what GRA is good at, and we must encourage them to do that.
Dr. Amin Adam commended staff of the Ghana Revenue Authority for work they are doing at their flower border.
And you're watching The Marketplace. We've got your financial markets update coming up next. Now, demand for treasury bills surged as interest rates took another nosedive on the money market. Bank of Ghana auction results showed that government secured nearly 5 billion cedis from the treasury bill sale. Here's more in this report.
Chunk of the bids came from the 91-day bill. About 3.825 billion cedis, representing 77.7%, were tendered. All the bids were accepted. VAT of the 182-day bill was estimated at 822.39 million cedis. The uptake was also same. For the 364-day bill, 272.62 million cedis was tendered. All were accepted. Meanwhile, interest rates continued to nosedive as the yield on the 91-day T-bill almost eased by 25 basis points to 25%. The interest on the 182-day bill also went down to 26.99% from 27.39% the previous week. But the yield on the 364-day bill remained relatively same at 27.99%. Most analysts believe the government will continue to borrow heavily on the treasury market to finance its expenditure.
Well, turning to the stock market, the Atlantic Lithium Company has listed over 6 million of its shares on the Ghana Stock Exchange to kickstart trading today. The move is part of the company's quest to have more local investors own part of the country's mineral resource custodians. Now, this is the first lithium mining company to be listed on the country's bourse since its establishment. Executive Chairman of Atlantic Lithium, Neil Herbert, has been speaking to journalists.
Important day for us. It was a commitment we made when we got the mining lease at the end of last year. A very important day for Ghanaians as well, so they can invest directly into the company. Obviously, we already have MIF as an investor in the company, and so actually to be able to have more shareholders in Ghana, from funds through to individuals, it's a great day for us. This is effectively now, we are represented on 3 exchanges. So we're represented on the London Exchange, we're represented on the Australian Exchange, and now we're represented on the Ghana Exchange as well. And the shares can trade freely across all the markets.
What's the future of the company in Ghana?
So our sole focus is the development of the Awoya lithium mine. So the Awoya lithium mine, we should break sod on the project later in the year. And so we should be in production in 2026. And as we've said before, this is over 800 employees in Ghana working here on the project to deliver the first lithium production in middle of 2026. Against this year, so we will break ground later this year on the project, and then we begin the construction. And the construction takes around 18 months, and then we will actually commission the plant in 2026.
Well, Managing Director of the Ghana Stock Exchange, Abna Umar, describes the listing of Atlantic Lithium as an opportunity for both institutional and individual investors to have a part of the country's mining industry.
Mining sector is the dominant contributor to our GDP, and we must develop a capital market that's representative of the economy. And that is why for us at the GSC, we are very excited about the policy direction to expand ownership of mining companies into Ghanaian hands. So for us, today is a remarkable day, a day to see Atlantic Lithium listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange, meaning that it's an opportunity for Ghanaian investors, institutional as well as individuals, who are interested in the story to be able to access the shares that are listed in Ghana. And for us, that is very, very important. And again, Atlantic Lithium is in an important segment of the mining sector, or an area called green minerals. As many of you know, Ghana Stock Exchange is very much at the forefront of making sure our economy develops in a sustainable manner. As I say, GSE is ESG. It's ESG spelled backwards, stands for GSE. And so we're very, very particular about making sure that Ghana's first lithium company, which is a green mineral, gets represented on the market, so that investors that are looking for exposure to green minerals, to building a sustainable portfolio, would also have the chance to invest in it. Finally, we think to develop our capital markets, as other countries have done, it's important for Ghana to crowd in foreign investments into the country. One way of doing this is by making sure that all mineral holders that have significant or major operations in Ghana get listed on the market. When they raise capital, Ghanaians can participate.
All right, you're watching The Marketplace. We want to take you now to the Accra International Conference Center, where the 3I Africa Summit is set to officially open. Program underway. Taking you there now, live.
Together with the Deputy Governors of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Maxwell Opoku-Afare and Mrs. Elsie Ado-Awaji. Please make them welcome with a round of applause. Let me go on to acknowledge Excellencies, heads of diplomatic missions, directors and officials of central banks, captains of industry, distinguished speakers, delegates, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. We ask that you accept the warm and generous recognition of this summit. Today, we're met here by broad stakeholders, and our agenda is simple: to unlock the great potential of our fintech and digital economic power. Welcoming us to Ghana formally is the Governor of the Bank of Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome Dr. Ernest Kwamina Yedu Addison.
Your Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana, Your Excellency Dixie Mitchell, the Prime Minister of Grenada, Your Excellency Wamkele Mene, the Secretary General of the AFCFTA, Honorable Minister of Finance, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, Honorable Minister of Communications, Ursula Owusu Ekufu, Honorable Ministers of State, Central Bank Governors, Central Bank Deputy Governors, members of the Board of the Bank of Ghana, members of the Board and Chief Executive Officer of the Development Bank Ghana, representatives of Elevandi, Chief Executive Officers of banks and other financial institutions, Chief Executive Officers and founders of telcos, fintechs, and technology chambers, distinguished invited guests and participants, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon and Akwaba to Ghana. It is my greatest pleasure to welcome you all to the inaugural ceremony of the 3I Africa Summit here in Accra. Before starting, let me acknowledge the major stakeholders, namely Development Bank Ghana, in partnership with the Monetary Authority of Singapore through its subsidiary Elevandi, organizers of the globally acclaimed Singapore Fintech Festival, who have supported the Bank of Ghana in organizing this event. The theme for this summit, Unleashing the Fintech and Digital Economic Potential of Africa, captures the vision of Africa in a digital world and the essence of our collective endeavors for the next 3 days. This forum presents a unique opportunity for private and public sector stakeholders to explore, discuss, and interrogate technological advances, fintech innovations, and financial sector policies to revamp the digital financial services industry in support of Africa's socio-economic transformation. Distinguished guests, the rapid evolution of technology has impacted all facets of life globally. For the financial sector, actualization of novel technologies in the payment ecosystem has revolutionized business transactions, reshaped customer behavior, and redefined the nature of commerce. Presently, we stand on the precipice of a global digital era, especially with artificial intelligence, and there is now a sense of urgency for Africa to accelerate the digitalization agenda through the 3 I's of innovation, investment, and impactful policies to boost economic growth and development. As Africans, we have an advantage in the digitization race based on the bulging and tech-savvy youthful population, the high mobile phone penetration, the consistent expansion of mobile network access, coupled with the rising homegrown fintech solutions. These factors have provided fertile grounds to accelerate the digitalization agenda across the continent. While these are commendable, it is important to note that despite that the lack of requisite investments in African fintechs could slow the pace of innovation and scalability of solutions in achieving the desired impact of a digitized Africa. The general lack of investor visibility is a major challenge for most local fintechs. Without sufficient capital, brilliant ideas, and the prototypes of fintech startup solutions with the potential to address the diverse financial service needs fail to progress to production. The regulatory aspect is another major reason not to ignore the issue of deficient funding in the fintech space. Fintech should have the ability to navigate regulatory requirements and meet compliance standards, which we all agree are non-negotiables, especially in Africa's financial industry. Hence, the need to address the information gap between investors and fintech startups to stimulate the payment ecosystem. Against this background, the goal of the 3i Africa Summit is simple, yet audacious, and that is to share the African fintech narrative, discuss the opportunities and challenges on how to employ digital technology, as well as enhance collaboration among policymakers, investors, and innovators to advance the economic prosperity of the African continent and its partners. We all acknowledge that the last 2 decades has been eventful for Africa's financial service industry. High mobile phone penetration, coupled with a pool of local technology talents, has resulted in various fintech solutions that have expanded access to financial services to the unbanked and the underserved. Mobile money, a game-changer product that is central to most digital payment innovations in African countries, is enabling e-commerce and serving as an affordable solution for merchant acceptance of digital payments. Micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises now have online presence, which has enabled them to expand their market reach outside the localities of operations. These developments, emerging from a thriving fintech sector, are based on the conducive environment created by the widespread regulatory reforms and the modernization of payment system infrastructure, including mobile money interoperability. With regards to intra-African trade, the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System has been developed to support free trade across the continent in line with the objectives of the African Continental Free Trading Area. This will enhance both domestic and cross-border payment systems and empower MSMEs by facilitating access to financing opportunities and broader domestic and global markets. Distinguished guests, we need to have fashioned out concrete initiatives and partnerships by the end of this 3I Summit to achieve tangible policy outcomes that will enable affordable and safe instant cross-border payments, empower fintechs to drive Africa's economic transformation agenda by committing to a sound regulatory environment, advance digital public infrastructure, and finally explore the role of fintech in bridging the financing gap for SMEs, including the creative arts industries. Distinguished guests, the need to foster innovation and investment across diverse sectors is central to the various discussions that will go on in the next 3 days. The Deal Room and Pitch Fest will serve as platforms for entrepreneurs and investors to explore mutually beneficial partnerships, driving innovation forward and fueling economic growth. Also, discussions on the use of fintech for inclusion should remain paramount to ensure that the benefits of technological advancements are accessible to all segments of society. By harnessing the power of financial technology, we can bridge the gap and empower marginalized communities, advancing towards a more inclusive and prosperous future. The inclusion of sessions dedicated to women in tech reaffirms our dedication to diversity and gender equality in the digital landscape and bears witness to the invaluable contributions of women entrepreneurs and innovators. And we must continue to create an environment that nurtures their talents and aspirations. As stewards of responsible finance, discussions on environmental, social, and governance principles are vital. The investment decisions must integrate the ESG principles to ensure that actions taken today can pave the way for a better and sustainable tomorrow. The agri-tech sector also holds immense promise to drive agricultural transformation and food security across the continent. By leveraging technology, we can promote sustainable practices, empower rural communities, and enhance productivity, thereby unlocking the full potential of Africa's agricultural sector. Lastly, the Founders Peak provides a platform for visionary leaders to share insights and experiences to inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs and innovators. In conclusion, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me urge everyone to engage in open and constructive dialogue, exchange experiences, ideas, and best practices, while exploring new opportunities for investments and partnerships. Together, let us seize this moment over the next 3 days to unlock Africa's true potential and usher in a new era of sustainable growth and development. I extend my sincere gratitude to Development Bank Ghana, Elevandi, the sponsors, and participants for the commitment to this worthy cause. Together, let us work so that this 3I Africa Summit serves as a catalyst for positive digitalization change that will resonate across Africa and beyond. Thank you, and may these 3 days leave a lasting impact on the future of our continent. I also urge you all to take some time off to sample the many delights Ghana has to offer outside these conference facilities. Thank you very much.
And what he has done for the past 7 years is to provide sound regulation that is smart, risk-appropriate to innovation, allowing for experimentation while managing the risks alongside. Please, once again, the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Kwamina Yedu-Addison. Thank you for that warm note of welcome. We're joined today by Ghana's Minister for Finance, who will also share his thoughts on the significance of today and give us and national welcome. Make welcome, ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam.
Very much. His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Dixon Thomas Michel, Prime Minister of Grenada, Honorable Ministers of State, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Secretary General, AFCFTA Secretariat, Captains of Industry, esteemed delegates of the 3i Africa Summit, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to be here this afternoon and honored to address you on a subject of utmost importance, the intersection of finance, technology, and innovation on the African continent. It has become increasingly evident that Africa stands at a pivotal juncture in its trajectory, with the fintech sector poised to exert a profound influence on economic growth and societal advancement. With a significant portion of our continent's population grappling with limited access to formal financial services, fintech emerges as a beacon of hope, offering unprecedented opportunities to bolster financial inclusion and empower more individuals to participate meaningfully in the formal economy. The landscape of fintech innovations is vast and multifaceted, encompassing many solutions ranging from mobile payment platforms and digital lending services to blockchain-enabled remittance networks and AI-driven credit assessment algorithms. These innovations are reshaping the financial terrain whilst also driving efficiency, mitigating cost, and unlocking latent sources of value to enhance productivity across diverse sectors of the economy. Your Excellencies, realizing the full potential of fintech in effecting substantive change necessitates concerted efforts and strategic alliances among various stakeholders, including governments, regulatory bodies, financial institutions, technology firms, and civil society organizations. We must also transcend national boundaries and forge strategic partnerships spanning sectors, industries, and jurisdictions to make meaningful progress. Around that objective, the 3i Africa Summit is an essential conduit for promoting industry best practices, facilitating knowledge exchange, fostering talent mobility, and facilitating resource sharing. Undoubtedly, for Africa to realize our development ambitions, we must all coalesce around an African agenda that delivers capital by leveraging public-private partnerships, venture capital, impact investing, and donor funding. An agenda that delivers investments in digital infrastructure, extended mobile network coverage, and established broadband networks for widespread fintech adoption and financial inclusion in underserved areas. And an agenda that delivers regional fintech hubs and innovation clusters to bridge the digital divide and ensure equal opportunities for everyone to use technology. Ultimately, the efficacy of fintech in Africa should be gauged not merely by financial metrics, but also by its ability to work within a framework that maximizes technology's contribution to inclusive growth and development. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the success of financial innovations rests on a strong financial services sector that operates in stable macroeconomic environment. To this end, the government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is unrelenting in creating an enabling macroeconomic environment that will provide the platform for the success of the financial services sector. For this reason, Ghana's economic rebound has been quite swift, with economic growth ending the year 2023 at 2.9%, against a target of 1.5%. Inflation heading towards the year-end target of 15%, and which we are determined to work to reach a single-digit inflation by 2027, and interest rates declining as well. Despite recent pressures on our currency, the cedi's depreciation year-to-date of 12% is far lower than its depreciation of 27% in the same period last year. The government is also implementing measures on the fiscal side, including acceleration of disbursements of almost $1 billion United States dollars by our development partners between now and December this year to support the economy. As we convene at the 3i Africa Summit here in Ghana, it is incumbent on us to acknowledge the remarkable strides that Ghana has made in nurturing a vibrant fintech ecosystem. Ghana's fintech sector boasts of a diverse array of startups, accelerators, and regulatory initiatives, solidifying our position as a frontrunner in fintech innovation across the continent. I therefore wish to commend the Bank of Ghana for being proactive in establishing a regulatory framework conducive to fintech innovation, exemplified by initiatives such as the Payment Systems and Services Act, Act 987, and establishing a Fintech and Innovation Office. These efforts affirm our commitment to fostering innovation while safeguarding consumer interest and preserving financial stability. I would like to take this opportunity also to acknowledge the many incubators across Ghana, including the Ghana Tech Lab and MEST Africa, that provide invaluable support to fintech entrepreneurs through mentorship, financial backing, and networking opportunities. Your Excellencies, this brings me to the importance of SMEs in propelling growth and job creation, and the key challenge they face. Low financing to SMEs continues to be a critical barrier to the acceleration of growth and development on our continent. In Ghana, SMEs constitute 92% of manufacturing, 70% of growth, and provide 80% of jobs. There is therefore every basis why SMEs should be supported, particularly in creating access to capital and providing skills for them to work with. Our focus going forward is therefore to generate growth within our borders by increasing access to capital. This cannot be achieved without a strong fintech infrastructure, an important requirement to address the efficiency of delivering capital to SMEs and reducing the risk of recovery of funds by financial institutions. The Ministry of Finance is finalizing an SME financing strategy which has components such as direct lending to SMEs, providing guarantees to financial institutions, reducing the cost of borrowing, and supporting skills and innovation in the SME ecospace through fintechs. Ladies and gentlemen, in my capacity as Finance Minister of Ghana, I am steadfastly committed to harnessing the potential of our nation's fintech landscape to drive sustained economic growth and progress. By leveraging the collective knowledge, innovation, and dynamism of our fintech sector, we can unlock new opportunities, generate employment, and accelerate progress towards our overarching development goals. To that end, I humbly ask that we unite and seize every opportunity to harness the transformative power of fintech and build a more inclusive, prosperous, and resilient Africa for generations to come. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity. May God bless our country.
We're extremely grateful to you, the Honorable Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, Minister for Finance of the Republic of Ghana, speaking so clearly on bringing together Africa's digital and fintech and digital economic potential by accelerating innovation, investment, and impact. You talk about the agenda that creates equal opportunities for all, which reminds me of this thought that was shared in 2023 at the Singapore Fintech Festival, which says, and I quote, "Everything we do in fintech must have a larger purpose. Everything we do in fintech must certainly have a wider reaching effect. Yes, there is money to be made, costs to be cut, opportunities to be seized, but fintech is more importantly about solving real-world problems, improving lives, promoting a more inclusive society, and securing a sustainable planet for all." I know these thoughts all too well because they were shared by a man who was managing director of the Monetary Authority of Singapore and today returns to us as Singapore's first ambassador for climate change action and senior advisor of the National Climate Change Secretariat. He would expand on this purpose by talking to us on Tech for Good, a tech talk on harnessing fintech for social impact. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ravi Menon.
Your Excellency, the President of Ghana, Excellency, the Prime Minister of Grenada, ministers, central bank governors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon, and all protocols observed. I'm delighted to be here at Accra for the 3i Africa Summit 2024. It is fitting that we are holding this summit in Ghana, the first country in Africa where the entire population is able to access and receive payments through their mobile phones. Africa is at the cusp of a fintech revolution that will transform the lives of hundreds of millions of people. It was Africa which pioneered the use of mobile money, the hugely successful M-Pesa. According to the World Bank, Africa leads the world with the largest number of mobile money accounts. A mobile money account allows anyone with a cell phone to transfer, store, and request money directly from their device without a traditional bank account. This is a powerful demonstration of financial inclusion. The key enablers for leveraging digital technologies are in place. 4 out of 5 persons in Africa uses a mobile phone. Nearly 1 out of 2 has access to the internet. Governments in Africa are prioritizing digitalization and financial inclusion through regulatory sandboxes and innovation offices. According to a BCG report, Africa is likely to be the fastest growing fintech market in the world between 2023 and 2030. And fintech revenues are expected to rise by 13 times, 13 times, compared to the global average of 6 times. So the potential is huge, and the enablers are in place. But it is not a given that Africa's fintech revolution is predestined. Africa still has considerable challenges to overcome on its fintech journey, and we need to be realistic about them so that we can address them. First, more than 40% of people in sub-Saharan Africa do not possess a legal proof of identity or a digital ID. Women and ethnic minorities bear the brunt of this digital exclusion. Second, cross-border payment transactions within Africa are still quite expensive, as they are routed through overseas banks and involve currency swapping. Third, much of the population still remains unbanked or underbanked. Only 35% of the population in sub-Saharan Africa has access to banking services. But Africa is not sitting still. Efforts are underway to tackle each of these problems. 1, digital identities as a key enabler for online transactions. 2, payments connectivity for seamless cross-border payments. Tokenization and artificial intelligence to enhance financial inclusion. Let me elaborate on each of these 3. Digital IDs, now they are a crucial public good to enable financial inclusion. Efforts are underway at the country, regional, and Pan-African levels. So several countries in Africa are implementing digital IDs. Ghana has begun to issue digital IDs to all newborn children. Nigeria has launched the National Digital Ecosystem to integrate the national identification number with digital services. Benin is offering 300 government services based on authentication of citizen identities through digital IDs. At the regional level, the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA, the East African Community, EAC, and the Southern African Development Community, SADC, have been working on regional digital IDs. Now, building on these initiatives, the African Union has plans for an interoperable Pan-African digital ID. And this will be a stepping stone to building the single digital market in Africa, which is a bold vision of a unified digital ecosystem that provides individuals and businesses across the continent with seamless access to digital services. Now, a Pan-African digital ID is a powerful enabler for a digital economy. What will it do? It will allow individuals to verify their legal identity both online and offline, and gain access to public and private services more easily. Second, it will protect digital privacy, as people and businesses will be able to verify their credentials without disclosing their personal data. And it will accelerate the integration of Africa with the global digital economy and the fintech ecosystem. So that's digital ID. Next, payments connectivity. This is the other thing that needs to be achieved. The Pan-African Payment and Settlement System, PAPS, PAPSS, is an interesting innovation. It is introduced by the African Export-Import Bank and Africa's Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, in January 2022. One of its key features is to facilitate instant cross-border payments that are directly convertible in local currencies. In other words, it eliminates the need for intermediary currency conversions to the dollar, the euro, or pound sterling. PAPS has successfully completed a pilot phase in the West African Monetary Zone countries and is poised to financially connect the continent. Another notable initiative on electronic payments is HonorFric. This is a Pan-African payment system that seamlessly connects 500 million people, 500 million mobile wallets across 40 countries in Africa. Users are able to make payments, receive money, and make financial transactions seamlessly through their mobile phones. HonorFric's integrated chain of mobile network operators, money transfer operators, and banks has simplified payments and transactions across the continent. Now, these are interesting innovations in Pan-African payments connectivity. Now, the key task ahead, I think, is to integrate these innovations with existing national payment rails for seamless multilateral payments connectivity across Africa. And here the role of central banks is critical. They must ensure effective governance and interoperability while leveraging of existing innovations like mobile money and PAPS. Third, tokenized assets and digital money to drive financial inclusion. Distributed ledgers and tokenization are being used to create a more efficient global financial architecture for seamless financial transactions across the world. Now, digital assets ride on the technological innovation of tokenization, namely the use of software programs to represent the ownership rights over any item of value as a digital token. It allows high-value financial and real economy assets to be fractionalized and exchanged over interoperable platforms like the internet on a peer-to-peer basis without intermediaries. It also enables the simultaneous exchange of two assets in real time. Tokenization has relevance to Africa. It offers a means to convert illiquid physical assets like land, minerals, and agricultural produce into digital tokens to enable fractional ownership of these resources. It can also help expand financing small and medium enterprises with funds raised from investors who can get tokenized assets. Now, these assets can then in turn be traded on emerging digital asset exchanges. Now, there are interesting and inspiring examples of tokenization in Africa, which have enhanced financial inclusion. Let me just cite a couple of them that I came across. In Kenya, African Digital Assets, a real estate developer, is tokenizing a shopping mall in Nairobi, giving smaller investors access to this asset through fractional ownership. In South Africa, Standard Bank Group, an infrastructure development firm, intends to finance renewable energy project through tokenization. Digital money enables the payment, clearing, and settlement of these digital or tokenized assets. And they can do this simultaneously on the same platform. The three viable forms of digital money in terms of stability of value and security of redemption are central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, 2, tokenized bank liabilities, or 3, well-regulated stablecoins. CBDC-based transactions can be used on simple feature phones, thereby helping to accelerate financial inclusion for the unbanked and underbanked. And governments can use CBDCs to distribute welfare payments directly to beneficiaries without en route leakage. Not surprisingly, in Africa, most of the traction in digital money has been in the CBDC space. Nigeria was the second country in the world to roll out a CBDC called e-Naira in October 2021. The South African Central Bank, Reserve Bank, has piloted a wholesale CBDC for interbank transfers between financial institutions. South Africa is also part of a cross-border CBDC pilot project, including the central banks of Australia, Malaysia, and Singapore. And the Bank of Ghana is currently testing a general purpose or retail CBDC. Finally, artificial intelligence. AI is fast emerging as a game changer and disruptor in global fintech. Major jurisdictions across the world are establishing principles and guidelines for the responsible and safe use of AI. In Africa, AI can potentially help fintech players, and many of them are harnessing AI. Let me give a few examples. Zande Africa, this is a fintech company in South Africa, is using AI algorithms to analyze the transaction history and business performance of small and medium enterprises so that they can assess the creditworthiness for making microloans. M-Kopa, which operates across Kenya, Nigeria, and Uganda, is using AI to process over 500 payments per minute. Nokwari in Ghana uses speech recognition AI to help persons who cannot see or read to use banking apps and financial services through spoken commands. And Mipangol in Tanzania helps users manage their personal finances through AI-enabled financial advice. I could go on, there are many examples. Now, many of the key components for a fintech ecosystem are therefore falling into place in Africa. I mentioned payments connectivity, tokenization, artificial intelligence, digital identities. Now, how can Africa build on these to systematically accelerate the fintech transformation and integrate with the global fintech ecosystem? The time is perhaps right for Africa to create a next generation foundational digital public infrastructure architecture, which is consent-based and pan-African in scope. Now, this architecture should rest on 3 pillars, which are key for the ecosystem. 1, a trusted identity infrastructure. 2, interoperable payment system. And 3, verified individual and business data exchanges. Now, this pan-African digital public infrastructure could leverage a range of next-generation components. I think there are three enablers for a successful rollout of such a public infrastructure. One, a unifying policy framework across the continent, within which countries can develop their customized policies while maintaining interoperability. And this is the key balance to strike, to maintain domestic flexibility and customization while ensuring you're interoperable. Two, a transition plan to upgrade the existing DPI implementation programs, because there are already several underway. So you want to build on those to incorporate this new direction of a Pan-African infrastructure. And three, adequate capital from the public and private sources to fund the implementation of this over the next 5 years. This would be an ambitious undertaking. It will require high-level guidance and a robust governance structure. A good way to start would be to bring together a group of key pilot sponsors under the chairmanship of perhaps participating heads of state, along with C-suite representation from public and private sector stakeholders. You can only do this through public-private partnerships. Let me conclude. More than anywhere else in the world, fintech can demonstrate its true purpose and potential here in Africa by focusing on financial inclusion. There is great scope for collaboration between traditional financial institutions and private fintech companies to bridge financial and digital divides. And platforms like the 3i Africa Summit create the opportunity to realize Africa's fintech potential. I wish you a fruitful discussions that lead to meaningful improvements in the lives of the people of this continent. Thank you very much.
It's always an edifying experience listening to Mr. Ravi Menon, Singapore's first Ambassador for Climate Change Action and Senior Advisor, the National Climate Change Secretariat, talking to us about Tech for Good, harnessing fintech for social impact. It is abundantly clear, ladies and gentlemen, that as it stands, Africa's digital and fintech sectors present unmatched opportunities for innovation, inclusion, and sustainable economic growth by adopting advanced technologies and innovative financial solutions to bridge the digital divide, improve access to financial services, and foster an environment where entrepreneurs and businesses thrive. The question we ask right now is, what is that roadmap to driving digitalization and intra-Africa trade? The answers lie with the newly re-elected Secretary General of the AFCFTA. Make welcome His Excellency Wamkele Mene.
Your Excellency, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of the Fourth Republic of Ghana, Prime Minister of Grenada, Prime Minister Mitchell, Right Honorable Prime Minister, Minister of Finance of Ghana, the Governor of the Central Bank of Ghana, governors that are here, ministers of finance that are here, regulators, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to be here with you today. What many may not be aware of in the room is that His Excellency, the President of Ghana, is the African Union champion on financial institutions and has been entrusted by the Assembly of Heads of States and Government of the African Union to lead reform of the financial architecture, the global financial architecture, and we're most grateful for His Excellency's leadership in that regard. We were established here in 2020, August 2020 is when the African Continental Free Trade Area was established here with a very simple mandate. How do we advance and improve on intra-Africa trade? In May 1963, Jomo Kenyatta, Augustino Neto, Patrice Lumumba, and many others, in the founding of the Organization of African Unity, the treaty obligations that they entrusted upon themselves, the objective, treaty objective, amongst others, of course, was political, to defeat the colonialists. And as I argued this morning, with the defeat of apartheid in South Africa, that particular objective was achieved. I do believe that the integration of Africa is what continued to evade us, because there was not a single platform. There was not a single platform for Africa to trade more with herself than with the rest of the world. So the colonial economic model, the patterns that continue to prevail of global trade, is precisely what Ghana set out to dismantle today. So when we were established here, it was consistent with the vision of our founding mothers and fathers when we came here in 2020 to dismantle the colonial economic model. There are tools that our heads of states have set out that we must deploy these tools to achieve that particular objective. The African Continental Free Trade Area is chief amongst those tools. In February this year, our heads of states adopted the Protocol on Digital Trade, the first of its kind in the world. The very first of its kind in the world. I was there in Hong Kong in 2004, the Hong Kong WTO Ministerial Conference. We attempted. We couldn't get consensus to have a digital protocol. Today we have a digital trade protocol to advance Africa's technological digital economy to include the millions and millions and millions of young Africans who are at the cutting edge of digital innovation. The Protocol on Digital Trade encompasses a number of provisions that I believe have the potential to significantly catapult our continent into global competitiveness in the digital economy. The heads of states have said, we want data to move across the continent freely. We want to prohibit the localization of computing services because we believe that we can and we should be a single digital market as the African continent. They also said that at the heart of this protocol on digital trade must be inclusion. It must be inclusion of young Africans. It must be inclusion of small, medium enterprises, particularly those that are run by women. They also say in the protocol that when you trade, and you trade on a digital platform in Africa, we must not impose duties amongst ourselves. That there must be free movement of digital trade and services. Finally, they also say, our heads of states, that payments, digitally enabled payments, is critical, which is why with my senior brother, Professor Orama, we have implemented and we launched it here in Accra, the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System, and it was not a mistake to launch it here in Accra. The reason we said we want to launch the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System in Ghana, Accra, is because we are fully conscious of May 1963, when our founding mothers and fathers said, not only are we occupied with pushing back the colonialists, but also we want to establish a Pan-African Payment Union. 1963. And today, we have a digital payments platform that enables me to trade with my counterparty in Kenya. I pay in Ghanaian cedi. My counterparty receives the Kenyan shilling without relying on a third currency. The point I seek to establish today is this, that we have, as Africans, within our reach, digital technology, tools that will enable us to advance on that particular objective of May 1963. So the conference today, in my opinion, is not actually just about technology, innovation, investment. In my view, it is about how do we advance the economic sovereignty of our continent. 43 currencies in Africa, 42 currencies on the continent, as we all know. Reliance on platforms that take us elsewhere to trade. 2019 alone, $20.5 billion worth of transactions on SWIFT. $20.5 billion that we as Africans, can you imagine? If I want to go from Ghana to Kenya, I must start in London or New York. It's the same with payments. If you want to pay your counterparty in Kenya, you use a correspondent bank in New York or London. So this question of the payment sovereignty of our continent, in my opinion, my very humble opinion, is particularly instructive to us in relation to that particular vision of Kwame Nkrumah, Augustino Neto, Samora Machel, and many others who were there on that day in Addis Ababa. So what is incumbent upon us is, how do we take this particular struggle forward? How do we make sure that this struggle, as we stand on their shoulders, how do we take this struggle forward? There are some in various parts of the continent, I will relate, South Africa will stand up and say and shout slogans that we're economic freedom fighters and all of that. A slogan is not going to deliver that vision. Digital innovation, enabling the competitiveness of our continent, inclusion in terms of financial bankability of small, medium enterprises, of young people. In my opinion, this is the revolution that I believe, leveraging on digital technology, that we should be relying on. So those, again, I want to relate to South Africa, those who say, oh, we are revolutionaries, we're fighting the capitalist system. Yes, but innovation, digital innovation, technology, leveraging on it to advance the objectives of May 1963. In my view, the connection could not be clearer. Couldn't be clearer. That our founding mothers and fathers said, we want a Pan-African payment union. And therefore, in the wisdom of our heads of states, we have that particular responsibility today to deploy digital technologies to advance on that vision. And His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is the champion for financial institutions for the entire African Union. I was with Orama yesterday, and we were discussing this particular issue of the sovereignty of the African continent in terms of payment. Because tomorrow I may upset someone in Washington and I won't be able to make payments. I'll be cut out of global payments, architecture, and infrastructure. Because I've upset someone in Washington. Fortunately, my wife is American, so she will mediate on my behalf. The point is, the emerging global geopolitical context, geoeconomic context should compel us as Africans to say, how do we emerge from this particular context, this situation that we are in? I want again to emphasize what His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo often says. Akufo-Addo often says that Africa beyond aid. Africa beyond aid. And again, I quote him, he said, we are not for a white man who is Russian or a white man who is French. We are for Africa. So this, in my opinion, this question of the existential economic sovereignty of our continent is precisely why the African Continental Free Trade Area was established, so that we leverage on this market of 1.4 billion people, which by 2050 is projected to be the 8th or the 7th largest economy in the world, 16.3 trillion United States dollars at that time, 2050, 27 years from now. But if we don't deploy these digital technologies that all of us are going to be discussing today and tomorrow, I don't know that we will reach that objective. So I want to thank all of you very much for the opportunity to share with you what our heads of states have instructed me to do, which is to implement the protocol on digital trade, to create opportunities for millions and millions and millions of young Africans, to place small, medium enterprises at the center of Africa's economy, and to catapult our continent to global competitiveness, which is the preeminent objective of the Assembly of Heads of States and Government that we have. So I sought today to make a linkage between May 1963, the establishment of the Organization of African Unity, and link it with where we are today, and that is digital innovation, digital inclusion, and investment. Perhaps I have not succeeded, but I invite all of us to make that particular political linkage with digitization and digital economy in Africa. I want to thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
And he shows us clearly that success is a journey. For a mandate well executed for the past 4 years and counting, please help me celebrate a true son of Africa, His Excellency Wamkele Mene, for leading with such admirable zeal and distinction. Thank you ever so much. In a nutshell, all he's trying to say is that others have labored and we share their glory, ours to do exploits and add to their gain. Only at Santa Clausians will understand this. Any Adisadel boys in the house? And so when the Osagefo said that the independence of Ghana is meaningless until it's linked up with the total liberation of the continent, he was not talking about the traditional continent. He was talking about the new Africa, the global Africa, which stretches from Mauritius all the way to Barbados. Today, we're joined by a global African, our own brother, who returns to share in the joy of this great pursuit. Would you please make welcome the Prime Minister of Grenada, His Excellency Dickon Mitchell.
He's a hard act to follow. Your Excellency, President Akufo-Addo, Honorable Ministers of State, Mr. Wamkele Mene, Secretary General, Dr. Ernest Addison, Governor of the Central Bank of Ghana, Mr. Duque, Chief Executive Officer of the Development Bank, Ghana, Governors of Central Bank who are here, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm from a tiny island in the Caribbean called Grenada, not Granada. You may end up in Nicaragua or you may end up in Spain if you said Grenada. And so why am I here? I'm here because the Caribbean is Africa's diaspora. And this conversation on fintech is as vitally important to the diaspora of Africa as it is to Africa. Mr. President, it was an absolute honor to host you in Grenada on the 7th of February, 2024, when you celebrated with us Grenada's 50th anniversary of independence from British colonial rule. I therefore deeply appreciate the opportunity given to me today to reciprocate this spirit of collaboration. This 3I 2024 summit stands as a testament to the strong bonds between our nations and the shared commitment to fostering impact, innovation, investment, and I will add a fourth I, inclusivity. Accra is the ideal venue for these critical discussions as Ghana continues to demonstrate an exemplary commitment to driving technological progress and meaningful investment and engagement. We are here today to forge partnerships, to elevate each other, and to lay the groundwork for a more prosperous, inclusive, and technologically empowered future for the next generation. The tiny island of Grenada stands with Ghana in recognizing the vital importance of this summit's themes: innovation, investment, and impact. These principles are fundamental pillars upon which we must build our future. In a rapidly evolving fintech landscape, this summit is a crucial opportunity to harness our shared knowledge and purpose to drive meaningful change. We recognize that the convergence of innovation, investment, and impact presents a unique opportunity to reshape our economies and our societies. And the Secretary General could not have been clearer in his exposition of that reality. By fostering partnerships and learning from each other, we can collectively unlock the potential of fintech to address issues like access to credit, reducing the unbanked population, and streamlining cross-border transactions. The challenge of our unbanked population in Africa and the diaspora stems not only from the colonial patterns of banking and financing, but even from modern-day dictated policies from countries in the West. In the Caribbean, for example, many of our citizens are unbanked because it is actually impossible to open a bank account. Whether it's anti-money laundering policies that are imposed on you, anti-terrorist financing policies that are imposed on you, and a host of other regulations that are dictated to you. If you're a fisherman, for example, and you live at home with your parents, if you can't demonstrate that you have a utility bill in your name, you are not allowed to open a bank account. If you can't show a proof of address by showing that you actually own the house that you live in, you're unable to open a bank account. Fintech and mobile money gives the millions of our citizens, both in Africa and in the diaspora, a unique opportunity to become banked and to become part of the economic and financial landscape that hitherto has either prevented or escaped them from entering. So the conversation about fintech is not a conversation merely about technology. It is a conversation about building solutions that uplift people, businesses, and communities while protecting and empowering the most vulnerable. So this conference should be a platform to celebrate our successes, but also to candidly identify areas where we can improve, innovate, and forge stronger alliances. So in this landscape, we must recognize that our goals can only be achieved through collaboration across borders. Hence the reason for my presence here today. By forging partnerships across borders, here on the continent and beyond, we can tackle challenges like regulatory alignment, digital literacy, and cybersecurity. These are not isolated issues, but are global ones that require unified solutions. And so I commend the President of Ghana and his government for recently signing an agreement with the government of India that allows for payment opportunities between the citizens of Ghana and India. Governors of central banks, you have a critical role in shaping the future of fintech. As gatekeepers of the regulatory landscape, I challenge you to ensure that the regulatory framework are creative, that they promote responsible innovation, and ensure financial inclusivity and growth. Work with the entrepreneurs to strike a balance that protects against risks without stifling the entrepreneurial spirit that drives fintech. Let us build the mechanisms that will empower citizens, simplify cross-border transactions, and facilitate transparent and efficient financial markets. While regulators play a crucial role in creating an enabling environment, beyond doubt, it is the private sector's contribution that will continue to drive the fintech revolution. So to the esteemed investors who are here with us today, your commitment and your vision are key to unlocking the full potential for fintech. Your support fuels the innovation that will transform industries, that will empower entrepreneurs, and that will open new markets. I therefore urge you to see the opportunities that lie in Africa, Africa's diaspora, and other emerging regions of the world, not just as investment destinations, but as opportunities for partnership in sustainable growth. By supporting fintech startups and initiatives that prioritize inclusion, digital literacy, cross-border collaboration, you can help create and shape an ecosystem where innovation thrives and that brings lasting impact to our citizens. Your strategic investments can empower small businesses, enhance access to finance, and accelerate growth towards the Sustainable Development Goals. I therefore encourage you to be bold in identifying and nurturing talent, ideas, technologies that will shape the future of finance. Regulators, entrepreneurs, governments, our citizens, together we can create a world where innovation is not only profitable, but purposeful, delivering returns that resonate far beyond mere financial gains. This summit, therefore, embodies our shared commitment to creating solutions that not only drive technological innovation, but that also supports the wider SDG agenda. It is through collaboration that we can ensure that fintech's impact extends to the very heart of sustainable development, providing equal opportunities and promoting shared prosperity. But our journey does not end when we leave this summit. It marks the beginning of a renewed commitment to empowering individuals and uplifting communities. Together, Africa and its diaspora can foster an environment where startups flourish, investors see opportunity, and every individual, no matter their background, geography, or ethnicity, has the financial tools that can change their respective lives. So Accra, let us boldly step forward, embracing this spirit of partnership, innovation. We have the power to transform not just our economies, but the world. Let us lead with vision, act with courage, and remain united in our pursuit of a fintech future that truly serves all of humanity. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be with you, and I wish you a successful summit. Thank you very much.
One more time, Ghana, Africa, welcome your very own We're grateful to you, Your Excellency Dickon Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada, and yours has been a bunch of punchlines in that very inspiring address. My particular take-home is the fact that we should strive to make innovation both profitable and purposeful. This afternoon, I just want to ask, innovation, investment, impact, if there was a human being, or if there were a human being who embodies all of this, who would it be? Well, I give to you an individual, a Ghanaian and international superstar whose music certainly speaks to positivity and a new Africa. She comes with a belief in Africa's people, promise, and prosperity. Africa, I give to you, Wiala. And that was specially dedicated to you, Your Excellency Dickon Mitchell, together with the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Grenada, the Honorable Joseph Andal, your entire delegation, and to you, all friends of Africa. We say Akwaba, and you say Ya. Akwaba. It's important that I acknowledge the tremendous support of His Excellency Dickon Mitchell in the fight to promote financial inclusion in the Caribbean. Notable among your efforts are the implementation of Dcash by ECCB Bank, which you are pioneering so well. We say thank you very much for all the efforts. Please, a round of applause. And so now is the moment we've all been waiting for, when we get to hear from a leader of tremendous progress, a man who just doesn't talk, but walks the talk. Under his administration, Ghana has chalked many firsts, and today it is my pleasure to give to you an enabler of transformative economies. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of our Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Nations, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, the first and second deputy governors, the Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement Secretariat, Chairman, Chief Executive of the Development Bank Ghana, Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, the President, ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development, the President, the Arab Bank for Development, Singapore's Ambassador for Climate Change Action and Senior Advisors, National Climate Change Secretariat, Country Director of the World Bank, the Chief Executive Officer of the African Guarantee Bank Fund, members of the Diplomatic Corps, fellow Ghanaians, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to Ghana and to the 3I Africa Summit. As we say in Ghana, and you've heard several times already, Akwaba is our word of welcome, especially to a good friend and brother of Ghana, the Prime Minister of the Government of Grenada, His Excellency Dickon Mitchell, and the members of his delegation. You're very welcome to Accra. You are amongst the people who pride themselves on their sense of hospitality, and I hope that by the end of your visit, you will agree with this claim. We are met here today under the banner of Unleashing Africa's Fintech and Economic Potential, a theme that resonates deeply with the aspirations and dreams of our continent. This gathering is not merely a meeting of brilliant minds. It is a resounding clarion call to action, summons to each and every one of us to rise to the challenge and seize the momentous opportunities that lie ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, the African Continental Free Trade Area has laid the groundwork for a monumental shift in our economic landscape, a transformation that will reverberate across the length and breadth of our great continent. The numbers speak for themselves. By 2035, the AFCFTA aims to lift some 30 million Africans out of the clutches of extreme poverty, whilst boosting simultaneously the incomes of some 68 million people. The agreement is projected to increase intra-African trade by some 52%, unleashing a wave of economic activity that will generate some 450 billion United States dollars to our collective GDP. These are not mere statistics. They're a testament to the boundless potential that lies within our grasp, a promise of a brighter future for all Africans. But to realize fully these benefits, we must harness the transformative power of fintech and digital innovation. We must embrace the technologies that are reshaping the global economy and make them work for us, tailoring them to the unique needs and challenges of our diverse and dynamic continent. Governments across Africa should invest heavily in the digital infrastructure that will form the backbone of our shared prosperity. We must create policies that foster innovation, encourage entrepreneurship, and attract investment from both within and beyond our borders. We must promote interoperability to reduce transaction costs and delays, tearing down the silos that have hindered our progress for too long. And we must leverage the power of digital identity programs, such as the Ghana Card, to improve access to financial services, reduce fraud, and create a more inclusive and equitable economic system. Through public-private partnerships and cross-border collaboration, we can create a seamless and efficient fintech ecosystem that aligns perfectly with AFCFTA's objective of fully integrated digital African economy. By working together, we can unlock the vast potential of our continent and create a rising tide that lifts all boats from the smallest village to the largest metropolis. Ghana has emerged as a good example of what is possible when we embrace digital transformation. Our e-government initiatives, such as the Ghana Card, the Ghana.gov portal, and mobile money interoperability, have reshaped the landscape of public service delivery and expanded financial inclusion to heights that were once thought unimaginable. Today, some 17 million of our fellow citizens now possess a digital ID, linking them seamlessly to the critical services they need to thrive in the modern world. The Ghana.gov portal has facilitated transactions worth some 1.6 billion cedis since its inception in 2019, improving revenue collection, reducing corruption, and in creating a more transparent and accountable system of governance. And when it comes to mobile money, Ghana stands tall among the nations of the world. With transactions exceeding 900 billion cedis annually, we boast one of the highest mobile money penetration rates in the world, which is further proof of the ingenuity and adaptability of our people. But our progress does not stop there. Ghana has made remarkable strides in the realms of fintech and financial inclusion, blazing a trail for others to follow. Mobile money adoption has increased considerably, with some 44 million accounts registered by the end of 2023 and transactions surpassing 1 trillion cedis. The percentage of adults with access to financial services has risen from 58% in 2017 to some 80% in 2023, a remarkable achievement that has transformed countless lives and opened up new horizons of opportunity. Our fintech regulatory environment has become a hotbed of innovation and competition, attracting the best and brightest minds from across the continent and beyond. And our digital lending platforms have disbursed billions of cedis in loans to micro, small, and medium enterprises, fueling job creation, economic growth, and the rise of a vibrant and dynamic entrepreneurial ecosystem. Ladies and gentlemen, as we look to the future, we should recognize that the success of our vision rests on the shoulders of our youth, the heartbeat of our continent, and the engine of our shared prosperity. So let us equip them with the portable, versatile skills they need to thrive in the digital age, providing them with the tools and knowledge to navigate the rapidly evolving landscape of work and opportunity. Ghana has accepted this challenge, investing heavily in technology-driven education, vocational training, and entrepreneurial development. We are fostering cross-border skills recognition and promoting digital literacy, ensuring that our young people have the confidence and capability to navigate the fintech landscape with ease and aplomb. But we cannot rest on our laurels. To unleash truly Africa's potential here, indeed governments of Africa, to align our policies and regulatory frameworks to create an environment that nurtures innovation whilst protecting the rights and interests of consumers. Prioritizing digital investment in digital infrastructure, channeling resources into the communities that have been left behind by the march of progress, and bridging the digital divide that threatens to leave too many Africans on the sidelines of the global economy are exceptionally important and crucial. And we must deepen our partnerships across governments, financial institutions, tech firms, and development agencies, working together in a spirit of shared purpose and unwavering commitment to develop the innovative solutions and strategic initiatives that will propel us towards a more prosperous and equitable future. And to this end, in furtherance of our objective of providing financial access to SMEs, the Minister for Finance and President of the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development, EBID, signed last Friday in Lomé, in Togo, a memorandum of understanding for $200 million facility to be dispersed through the Ghana Commercial Bank and the Ghana Exim Bank to SMEs. The role of fintechs in ensuring that these resources reach SMEs and to monitor their growth cannot be overestimated. The 3i Africa Summit stands as a powerful testament to our collective commitment to shaping a future where digital finance and technology drive inclusive economic growth and sustainable development. It is a rallying cry for action and a call to arms for all those who believe in the boundless potential of our great continent. So let us seize this moment here and now to forge a united path forward. Let us build a continent where borders are mere lines on a map, where digital innovation knows no bounds, and where the aspirations of every African can be realized in full. Let us create a future where the light of progress shines brightly, illuminating the way forward towards a brighter tomorrow for all our people. Together we can create a legacy that will inspire and uplift. Let us seize this moment and make it our own, forging ahead with courage, with conviction, and with a strong commitment to the vision of a brighter future for all Africans. May God bless Mother Africa and her peoples and make them great and strong. I thank you for your attention.
The President of our Republic. Mr. President, if it pleases you, I would like us to have 4 memorable photographs to mark this day. And so humbly, I shall invite the Prime Minister of Grenada together with the Secretary General of the AFCFTA to please come up for the first photo. Please be seated. I shall ask all ministers herein present from Ghana and beyond to please come and join. Bring it down, bring it down. All ministers. Right after the ministers, I shall invite the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, the CEO of DBG, the former MD of the MAS, and all central bank governors to come up. Thank you, honorable ministers. You may please take your seats. Governors. Joining the governors, I invite the Vice President of the AFDB, Mr. Solomon Queno, together with the President of the ECOWAS Bank for Investment Development, Dr. George Donko, and finally, an exclusive with the organizers, Bank of Ghana, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, and the Development Bank Ghana. An exclusive with the organizers. To this end, we all shout innovation, investment, and impact. Put your hands together for the President of our Republic for opening this all-important summit, this groundbreaking summit. And so shortly we bring this, well, please remain seated,